Hello and welcome back to part 2 of our colour along from Lesley Smitheringale's lovely book called Little Woods, and we're doing the owl. So I'm going to be using these two Inktense pencils, neutral grey and dark chocolate, and I'm going to be doing as I did before and scribbling on this Caran d'Ache water aqua palette or something. I'll link it below in case you're interested. It's one of the most useful tools that I think I've ever bought for my colouring and my painting and my art journaling and everything. I use it for everything. It's not even very expensive. So I'm going to be painting some of the owl by using the palette aquarelle, that's the name, and I'm going between colouring in the colouring page, activating that with water, and then painting from the palette aquarelle and just going along. I think that I will put on some music for you, and because this image took quite a lot of time, it's surprising, isn't it, how long it takes to actually colour an image in. Even one with all this lovely grayscale and the dark background and everything, it can take time. And I find videos get too long to watch, so I'll put some of it in double time. I'm not going to make it a very quick fast forward. I think I'll just do it in double time and put a little bit of music on for you to watch and see what's going on. I'll be using the same colours throughout, so you'll be able to tell which colours they are, and I will list underneath the video what the names of the colours are that I've used in the Inktense. So I hope that you enjoy watching me colour this a little bit further. As you can see, I'm painting with this very fine brush to go over the markings given by the artist. I really enjoy using this very tiny brush. It gives one quite a lot more control because your lines are so small. And later on at the end of the video, you'll see that I actually go over a lot of these lines using a fine liner as well. So this is all a first coat to kind of lay down some color and fill in that white toothiness of the paper. So I continue doing this and doing the outlines, and then I'm going to move on to doing part of the nest as well. I hope you've enjoyed the music that I've been playing. It's all from Epidemic Sound. This last one was called Never Leave You, and it was by American Legion. So I'm slowly but surely filling in this nest, which I must be quite honest, I found quite tedious. I was listening to an audiobook as I did this, which helped pass the time along. I'm not a huge fan of Inktense pencils. I enjoy them and I don't. I find as I've said before, I'm a fairly tactile person, and I find the feeling of the pencil on the paper is not, it's kind of sticky. It's not a pleasant feeling. I much prefer it when I scribble it onto my palette aquarelle and then use a paintbrush to apply it. I'm next going to be applying little bits of the gold again, and for that I'm using my very favorite Pentel Sparkle Pops that I really enjoy, and they I love the feel of those because they're smooth and they go on well and they deliver a nice impact of glitter. And I must say I love my little bit of glitter. So I'm going to move on to that because this is all very much the same thing. So here we have the nice Pentel Sparkle Pop, and I'm just filling in some of the very fine parts with that, and then I go all around applying this, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished. So there we've got some nice glitz and glamour going on there, and then I can carry on with the little owl and some more of the nest. So now I've completed all the ink tints, and I'm going to do some detailing with my Derwent Coloursoft pencils to make everything pop out a bit more, and then I want to paint the moon behind. So I've got my Derwent Coloursoft pencils in my nice pencil bag. I wish we got these in South Africa. They're so handy, and I wish we could get them without the massive import duties, because they really are great. I've only got about 3 of them. So I'm starting with black, which I want to do the beak with, and I want to go around the outside of the eye and various places. So I'm wanting to do a bit of a highlight, and I'm just colouring in the outsides of the beak, and then I will blend them together with a white pencil, but I'm staying all with the Derwent Coloursoft. I actually find this Derwent Coloursoft White quite a nice white pencil. It works not as great as the Prismacolor, but almost actually. It's a pencil that I'm really quite fond of using. So I'm going to blend those together, just quickly sharpen. And now blending that together with the white. So I go over the black a few times and get it until it looks to my satisfaction. I'll zoom in a little bit more for you. So you can see how I'm sort of blending them together there. I'd just like to ask one of my regular viewers that's always very kind to me, let me know that the Zoom transition that I was using actually made her feel quite struggle with vertigo, and I'd like to know from anybody, is this latest transition that I'm using to bring in the Zoom better? Because I really don't want anybody to feel ill when they're watching my videos. So I'm hoping this one is better, and I'd love to know. So I'm just doing the outsides again, which kind of I'm hoping to bring more of a 3D effect. The one thing with this Coloursoft pencils are that they don't hold a very sharp point. The point does break a bit, and if you make it too sharp, so it's sometimes a bit difficult to get in there, but they are, as the name suggests, nice soft pencils, and that is my preference. I like a soft pencil. And it actually, to me, feels quite a relief coming to the normal pencils away from the ink tints. I have all the ink tints, and I like the fact that they give a bright colour and a nice first layer, but they're not my favourite to use. So now I'm going around the outside of the eye with the black, and I'm not using a reference photo or anything, so I don't know if it's correct, but I wanted to make these eyes pop out a bit more, and I also want to correct my blooper that we have on the right-hand side of the orange that's sort of spread there. So I'm going to go over the pale grey as well with some pencil, and then also try and brighten up the orange colour in the eyes. And I think I'll put on a little bit more music for you again so that you can watch that. So now what is nice for me about the Inktense is that when you use the pencils on top, you don't have to do 37 layers before you actually manage to cover the white of the paper. And you actually can get some sort of a nice looking color going. So I've used these grays just to go around the eye. I had thought I wanted a whiter look, but I didn't like how it looked, so covered them up with a bit more grey. So now I've got some blood orange pencil, and I've got a yellow, bright orange, and a pale yellow, and I'm going to try and brighten these eyes up a little bit more. Hopefully it works, because they don't look the way I'd imagined. I like the one on the right, but the one on the left looks a little bit dirty. I hope I can get it to look right. I'll colour over some of it with the bright orange now, and just try a bit more of the yellow. Trial and error, and let's hope for the best that it starts looking good. Okay, now I'm coming back to my trusty Staedtler fine liners to give some definition to various places. And I'm first going to fill in this black and make it more black and give them even longer eyelashes, because a girl does like eyelashes, and I'm sure even a guy does. I must say, I don't know about you ladies that have got children, but my sons have both got the most beautiful eyelashes, lovely long eyelashes. I always think the male of the species is blessed with nice eyelashes. I suppose if you look at bird life, they're always more fancy than the girls, aren't they? So now I'm outlining this just to give it a bit more definition. And I think already it's looking brighter. And so I'm putting in the little dots also with the fine liner. And I think that the whole thing brightens up. And I don't know if you need to watch me doing everything. I think the video is going to get too long. So I'm going to move to where a lot of this has been done already. In a typical Elizabeth way, I'm now deciding to do the moon. I'm using this Deco Art Metallics. It's an acrylic paint, And I've just poured some into my palette, and I'm using a very inexpensive brush, which I've just dampened with some water, but I don't mix the paint with water, and I just apply it. Basically, I just paint on a layer and go over the whole of the moon with this. It's nothing difficult to do. It's not any special technique. It's just painting. And the more one paints, the easier it becomes, the easier the brush control becomes. I must say, when I first used a paintbrush, I didn't actually know what to do because it seemed so out of control, but it's now become sort of second nature to me and an extension of my hand, and I enjoy using a paintbrush so much. So if you new to trying a paintbrush on something, don't feel that this is something you can't do, because honestly, I feel like anybody could use acrylic paints in a coloring book. Acrylic paints are really easy. The only difficulty with them is that they do dry out on the palette, so don't squeeze out too much because you just waste it. One of the nice things is that they dry into like a plastic thing and you can just peel it off and throw it away. They don't really mess up the paper either. I've never tried acrylic paints on Amazon paper. Maybe that's an experiment for sometime later this month. Maybe I can try that on one of my Halloween pages. I wouldn't do an entire coloring page in them, but for background areas and that, they're really great. I love my watercolor paints, and I love watercolor over everything. I've never done a painting with acrylic paints. I've just used them in coloring books. I love watercolor and the magic of watercolor, but for me personally, what makes watercolor work is its magic and the properties of it, which are very, very dependent upon the correct watercolor paper. So watercolor in coloring books is nice and great, etc., etc., but it doesn't, you don't manage to get the same sort of wet on wet techniques and all the exciting color bleeds and that sort of thing that makes watercolor so magical. So I'll come back when I've finished the moon. Well, I've gone over the whole moon and I'm doing a second layer now, just to fill in all the gaps, as it were. And this is not quite as shiny as I'd hoped it would be. I bought it about 3 or 4 months ago, and I've just opened it now. So here we have the picture almost finished, but I'm looking at it and there's still things that I want to detail more. So I'm going to be going around quite a few things, quite a few of the parts of the image with my fine liners to bring them out a little bit more. I could have just colored in more of them with pencils, but I felt like using my fine liners, and that's the reason I'm doing it. I also like the sort of the crisp edge and the more illustrative style that it gives. That's sort of what I was going for. And yeah, I must say, looking at this picture, I'm disappointed with the way the owl's eyes have turned out. They're not quite what I imagined. I wanted these really bright, owly eyes staring, but I didn't get that. I'll have to do another owl this this Halloween, or while I have this hashtag going. I found the fine liner quite difficult to apply over this acrylic, and it's because it's a glossy acrylic. If you've got a matte acrylic, then pencils and pens and things apply quite nicely over them. I was umming and ahhing between using a gold or using the silver, and I chose the silver because I wanted it to be the moon. I'm not sure whether I think I made the right choice or not. I'd love to know your opinion. Do you think gold would have looked better? I'm not sure, but what I am pleased with is the effect of the fine liner over the lines of the image. I think it really brings things out. So we're already on 35 minutes of this video, so I think I'm going to cut out a bit more and show you what it looks like when I've finished applying fine liner to the various places. So now things are starting to pop a little bit more. I love the effect of the fine liner on the little leaves and everything. I really feel like the image is starting to come to life. It's so interesting how one just has to keep going until you get the result that you're kind of hoping to achieve. Now we come to stage Liz's favourite part, and that's adding a little bit of glitz and glam to everything. So you can see the silver, not so shiny, but it has helped a little bit. Let me zoom in a bit more when I add the glitz and glam now. Addition number 1, some stickles. Yay for stickles. So I thought I'd add these. This image has got little circular dot places on the wings, and I'm just adding the stickles to them and going to go all around and do that. I've tried zooming in a little bit more so that you can see where the little dots are, and that's where I'm adding the stickles, and they will look lovely when they're dried and are all sorts of sparkly. Yay, love some sparkle. Next we come to the probably most important part of any colorist's toolbox. Just went and smudged all of those stickles, never mind. And that is the Signo white gel pen. So some white reflection for the eyes. And I'll have to reapply the stickles. Typical. And then thought I'll add a little reflection on the nose, or the beak, should I say. And let me quickly reapply those stickles after I've done this. Just add some dots there. Already the picture is coming to life. And then I've decided, while the stickles aren't there, I'm going to add a little white line on the feathers next to each of the dark lines in the middle of the feathers. And I think that also helps bring Mr. and Mrs. Owl and their baby to life a little bit more. So coming to the end of adding the little white lines, and just need to come back with my black fine liner because I'm feeling like the outside of Baby Owl is not really standing out enough. Sorry, it's not the black fine liner, it's the brown fine liner. But I'm really liking the difference that this is making. And one of the things that I really hope that you can see if you have got this far in the video, and if you're not an experienced colorist, is that the same as I said yesterday when I was doing my watercolor painting, some pictures go through an ugly stage when you're coloring them. Any art, like children, like they grow, you can have the most beautiful tiny little toddler, and then a child gets to a gangly stage, I don't want to say ugly, and then they grow into their beauty as they get older. And I think the same with any artwork. It goes through a stage of development, and then it starts to look like something. So don't lose heart. You can always bring something into looking like you imagined. You just need to kind of keep with it. I find personally, as I'm coloring, that if I'm trying to do a tutorial or something and talking while I color, I really just can't do it. I do best to pop an audiobook into my ear and color away intuitively and lose myself in the art of the moment. and then to do a voiceover as I'm doing now. Because if I try to explain what I'm doing as I do it, I suppose I'm not really in the moment as I'm doing it. I'm not sure. I think a lot of what brought me to colouring was the fact of it's almost a kind of a meditation in that one can just be lost with your attention on the working surface, on the place where you are bringing that pencil to the paper or the paintbrush to the paper or whatever. And I think when I'm then trying to talk over that, I lose that, and any spiritual or emotional or whatever word I could use for that is lost. And so I colour better when I'm not trying to talk as I do it. So now I'm going to reapply the stickles to where my attention was not on my working surface, and I smudged it all. And then I just have one or two more little embellishments to bring some glitz and glamour to the owls. What should we call them? Mr. and Mrs. Owl and Baby. I don't know. I'm not good with names. Can't think of a name. So I'm just going to finish with the stickles. There we are, simsalabim boom. Voila, finished with the stickles, just like that. I used to always imagine when I was a kid that I could think things into existence, and when you have a YouTube editing device, you're watching something and boom, all of a sudden it's just done. So now I'm adding some extra color here and filling in and fiddling and seeing what doesn't really work with my eye and just trying to tidy it all up. I think I'm going to pop a little bit of music on again for you. as you can see, I've gone around most of the owl with the black pencil as well. I'm trying to create a kind of a drop shadow of the owl so that they stand out a little bit more, because they're fairly dark against the tree and everything. I've used the grey and the moon is the silver. I've thought that would help them stand out a little bit more. So now we're nearly done. I want to add some shine to the eyes. So I'm going to use some glossy accents by Ranger. And I just want to check quickly that the white gel pen and the other dark color is all dry. And one needs to get the glossy accents coming out before you start, and then keep your pressure on the bottle from place to place to place, or otherwise you create an air bubble, which you don't want. And it looks milky like this, and it can take overnight to dry clear and shiny. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's all clear as well. So I want to do all these eyes with the glossy accents, and then I want to use as well some of my Stickles gel. It comes in a little pot and it has little stars. I've got this one. I think it's called hologram or holograph or something like that. And I just want to put that on the night sky. So now I'm terrified of smudging my glossy accent. So this time I've been sufficiently awake to turn it upside down and use my finger like this. And I'm just spreading it. And I wanted it just in the black, but it's actually a bit tricky to get in all the places. There are tiny little stars in it as well, which I thought went quite nicely, and it will dry clear and very shiny. So it will help the night sky shimmer and shine, and I just felt like using it, so why not? I don't like sticking fingers though. So the very first thing I did when the minute I was finished with this was went and washed my hands. My grandson thinks I'm hilarious because I'm all about washing hands. And he's really not, although he knows now, so the minute he walks into my house, he goes to the bathroom and he washes his hands. I love him so much, such a sweet little funny bunny. They're all so cute. All right, so there, that's done. And then I just now need to let that dry, and then I'll show you what it all looks like when it's nice and dry. And if you've managed to get to this stage, I'm trying shining a torch on this to see if you can get any of the shine. Don't know if it's making it shine at all. I'll try lifting it as well. I think that might be helping a little bit. So I'm going to lift this a little bit and see if you can see the eyes are shining with the glossy accents, and you can see the little sparkle up in the sky, I hope. And so I'd like to thank you very much for spending this time with me watching the video. And if you've actually got to the end, leave me a little comment and mention Lesley's owl so that I'll know you've seen right to the end. And I want to thank you, and thank you very much for your support. Have a wonderful, colourful and happy week. Lots of love from me. Bye-bye now.